So today I'm here with Kevin Fox, a veteran of the United States military. We're doing a little interview. Kevin, uh, where were you born
Boston, Massachusetts,
and about when?
1961.
61. Who were your parents and what did they do for work?
My dad was Frederick Arthur Fox. He was a construction worker for 40 years, retired, passed away in 2011. And my mom, she was a homemaker at first, and then she became her own boss. She owned a hair salon in Roxbury, Massachusetts. And she ended up retiring, and she's also passed away from diabetes. I had great parents coming up, showed me good value.
Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have 6 siblings. I'm one of the twins. I have a brother, which is I'm Kevin, and he's Kenneth. And I have 3 sisters and one other older brother. He's also Frederick Fox.
Do they live in this area still, or?
No, they're all in the Massachusetts area, Boston area. I have my older brother, he's deceased now, and I have a sister that's over me. She's deceased also.
Did any of them join the military?
No. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Let me back that up. Yeah, my brother Kenneth, my twin, he was also in the military.
Oh, really? What branch was he in?
He was an infantry.
Did you guys serve together at all? Or?
No, I went about a year after him.
How did your family feel about you joining the service?
Back in the 80s, it's like just get up out of here, from the inner city. So it was like a great feeling for them. A lot of chaos going on, gangs and, just a lot, just like I said, a lot of chaos. So it was like a great thing for them to know that we had went in that direction.
So during that time in Boston, you said there was a lot of gang stuff going on?
Yeah, I was actually in a gang
at
the time, yeah.
Was there like a name on it, or what was the deal? I'm curious.
Just a bunch of guys, about 15 of us hanging out on the block. And well, back then, we used to make go-karts and just hang in hallways and hang in the basements and stuff. And as a matter of fact, it was a bunch of guys and a bunch of girls, and we just kind of hung up and did like activities around the area. But we was close to a place called Franklin Park. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah.
That's the inner city, Boston. And we would go and hang out over there a lot, White Stadium, and just have activities.
Where did you go to school?
Various schools. I went to David Ellis. I went to Woodrow Wilson, and then from there I went to Dorchester High School.
Did you have any college or just?
Yes, I did have some college. I when I came out of the military, I did 2 years at the BU, Boston University. I took a culinary art class.
Did you have any jobs before you entered the service?
I was in the gang, so basically no, I can say no.
What age did you enter the service at?
I think it was 19.
So pretty young.
Yeah.
So early days of the service, you enlisted, correct?
Yes, I did.
And where did you enlist at?
There's a building downtown Boston where everybody goes and enlists.
So why did you join?
Well, I'm a true teller. I joined because I was with the gang and was getting into a lot of trouble. I actually wasn't with the gang. They had broken some windows into a car. It was a bunch of eyeglasses inside the vehicle. Just eyeglasses. I don't know if they was prescription or whatever. The cops was called. And I happened to, after they ran away or whatever, I happened to come around looking for the fellas. Where we hung out all the time, somebody said they're going up there. I had nothing to do with nothing. Got arrested and was charged for, what do you call it? I don't know what they call it. Malicious property, something like that. Back then, the penalties was pretty harsh. They didn't mess around back then. And I actually went to court, and in that court session, the judge told me that I had he told me that I had 2 options. And that was either going to the military or do 2 years in Concord State Prison. And I think the penalty was harsh because I think some of the prescriptions was for blind people, the eyeglasses. And like I said, I was very young, didn't have nothing to do with it, but I see myself in trouble, so I said I go into the military, and that's how I ended up joining.
So when you joined, besides your family, was there anybody else or anything else that you left behind that you knew you were gonna miss?
Yeah, well, when I joined, I had met somebody, my future wife, which her name is Dawn Fox, and so I was leaving her behind, and she had already had two young children herself, male and female. So when I left, I was leaving them behind.
And you met her at 19 years
I
old?
met her. No, I actually met her, to be honest with you, at 15.
15.
Yeah, so I was together. We was together. She was a little older than me, so we was together. And then when that incident happened, I ended up, being shipped off to the military.
In which branch did you enter, and why did you choose that branch?
Well, you take an aptitude test, and that was the branch that picked me. You take a test to go into the military. You take that test, you can go into the Army, Air Force, Navy, or Marines. And they said Army for me, so that was good enough for me.
So you weren't really concerned where you were going.
No.
You just knew you had to go.
So military was the military.
Now you go through MEPS. I'm not sure what they called it back then. Was there a different name?
Well, so MOS.
Well, MEPS it would be the military. It'd be the office you went to as you enter. So I'm kind of curious how you got to your first base, I guess is my question.
When I joined, everybody was like I don't know if it was South Carolina or whatever, but we ended up at a certain spot, and we didn't get our haircuts, not like that. We was just in an area where we was getting processed, and then we've been told that I was being told at that I was going to Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
And what was your MOS?
My MOS was 36 kilo, which was I was a wireman.
A wireman?
Yeah.
So what type of training was involved with that?
Splitting wire, telephone communications, switchboard operating, pole climbing, gafting.
Do you have any vivid memories of that?
Very much, yes. It was an experience I'll never forget. Well, the drill sergeants, you have to take you're out it's called bivouac, and you're out. They take everybody out for the whole week, and where they set us in the woods. Well, our MOS is to get communications. So what we do is we go out at night and we will form all of our communications, switchboard, telephones, wire inside the grounds, covering up with rocks and leaves and stuff. And then our sergeants would tell us, okay, night time. And night time is going to tent, you go to sleep. Then we'd be woken up saying that there's no communication. That's because they done went out there and cut our wires. And you don't know where your wire was cut at. So you have to get out there middle of the night and find your splice it back in and get communication. And where the drill sergeants are at, you gotta call back to base. That means that you did your job.
So during your training or schooling, what was the best part of that?
I'll say actually training, because training you've seen everybody from around the world. That's where you met your friends, people from different countries, people from different states, and you form like a family with that group. And then your drill sergeant, he becomes like a father figure. That was the best experience for me.
Meeting all the different people.
Yeah.
Was there anybody during that training that kind of stood out to you? Another soldier that you met?
No, basically we was all kind of like in the same position.
So we talked about the best part or vivid memories. Was there a bad part? What was the worst part of training?
Well, I kind of always grew up, in a harsh situation anyway. So after I got out of the initial yelling and screaming and pushing up Fort Jackson, and the drill sergeant, really kind of down your throat, I kind of adapted pretty well. It was a pretty okay. It really was no, bad time for me. Exercising was great because I was very athletic anyway. So I was kind of like pretty much good when I went in with the exercise part of the military.
What was your first assignment after basic training?
AIT. They sent us to I was sent to Fort Gordon, Georgia for continuing signal school. And that's where you learn to climb the poles. The poles are just one straight pole up, like 80 feet up in the air. And you're being tested with your gaps. The one line going from one pole to the other, and it was kind of like simulating going up there and fixing up wires and coming back down that pole. A lot of guys didn't, when you came down that pole, you didn't always come down gapped, and sometimes you gapped out, and you have big splinters on your legs.
Of the instructors, do you remember any of them?
Talking about 40 something.
Well, so overall, what were they like?
They were just like drill sergeants, military, those guys are hardcore. They love their job, they know their job. And
After AIT training, what was your first duty station and your first assignment?
my first duty station, I did all stateside. So I went from there, went to Fort Drum, upstate New York. I was there for about a year. And then from there, I ended up turning my orders over into the National Guard. And I went into Quincy, Massachusetts. And that's actually a signal corps school.
And what did that entail? You said signal corps school?
It's just more lineman work, going out every other weekend, going back and forth to upstate New York, for the drills and stuff like that.
Did you qualify with, or what equipment did you qualify with? Vehicles, radios, weapons?
Just my I just had a regular Jeep, just drove the regular Jeep. I never drove the real big truck, and just my radio and gapped and equipment, and just lineman type equipment.
And you still had to qualify with weapons too, right? You still did all that basic.
Yeah, M16. I had an M16, but where you're a lineman, we had a handgun.
Okay, what kind it was?
Just a revolver.
What was the hardest part of training?
Pole climbing.
Why was it hard?
It's just they make you go up all the way to 80 feet. They make you take off your harness, and you gotta actually lean out and do working positions, and that's where you can gap out. And all you're doing is trying not to look down. You're just trying to look at the working area that you're working.
How many times a day did you have to climb that pole?
We went out a week. We went to that training field about 3 times a week, and you know what was coming. It was scary. They had guys. You're in line, and you got your gear on your side, and when it's your turn, that sergeant's there, and he's telling you, looking up, and he says, "Okay, go up," and it's just a scary situation.
So were there guys that wouldn't do it?
You had to do it. There was some guys that were gaffed up, and you gotta, when you're falling, you grab that pole. You grab that pole. You can't gap back. Okay? So you either coming down in splinters, or you're coming down slow.
How did the instructors handle it when somebody was doing something wrong?
Yelling at you and telling you to come on back down. And you know what they're calling you. You're a failure.
Did you receive any promotions?
I got certain kind of medals and awards.
How long were you in for?
I was in for 3 years.
What was the hardest part of the military lifestyle for you to adapt to?
I gotta be honest with you, none of it. It was just when you're coming from the city and you're already in a type of war zone situation, it's like you were just incorporated back in the same position that you was in coming from the hood or coming from the ghetto. I gotta be honest, the ghetto area. That's what they call it. That's what it was. It was everyday fight, and you come outside and somebody's in your face, or you gotta run from this person, or that's how it is in the city. So going into military was same thing, hanging around with a bunch of guys and figuring things out.
So was the military easier than home life at that time?
Oh yeah, because you got your fun time, you're going to the clubs and stuff with the fellas. You're getting 3 square meals a day. Must have gained like 60 pounds when I was there. You come out really nice. You start. Uncle Sam really takes care of you in there. So that was a great feel.
So what bases did you serve at?
Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Gordon, Georgia, Fort Drum, New York.
Mhm.
Then the rest was like I said, the National Guard, Quincy Street, the Armory.
When you were away from the family, how did you stay in touch with them?
Letters.
What did you do for recreation when you weren't, or when you were on duty?
Well, back then, I don't know if you remember that the big boom box. Remember the big boom box? You can go and grab. We would grab one of those, and everybody was into their music. So we kind of walk around on the base with your big boom box, listen to your music. You know, hanging up with the fellas. Sometimes playing different games, and watching TV. Sometimes downstairs in the room there.
I hope
Back then, that was the thing. Having your big box on your back there, and
Do you remember anything during your off-duty time, having fun with your friends that really sticks out?
yeah, the MCO clubs going, just partying and having a good time, and that was the best time because you have your drill sergeants around. It was just all you and the rest of the troops, and that was time I can remember.
What was the best part of your service experience?
Coming from a young man that had no vision, and the military making you into a man and showing you that you can have the vision. That was the best. That was the best experience for me.
Of your time of service, is there anything else that you'd like to say that we didn't already cover?
I would tell any young person, any young guy that's troubled, don't have no vision, is lonely, find his way into the military. The military has every option and everything you need to become the person that you want to become.
Do you recall the day your service ended, and where were you when that day came?
In Massachusetts, my captain told me that I was all set. Gave me my uncle discharge papers, and I went home to my wife and told her that I have to find a job now, and I have to start being a man in the house and start taking charge. With that military type atmosphere that I had. Now you're basically going to civilian, which it's a big difference.
So did you go back to work, and what were you?
I ended up my uncle drove cabs for the streets boss, so he ended up getting me into got my hacking license and ended up driving cabs for the streets of Boston, which were very dangerous back in the 80s. You see, found cab drivers slumped over their seats, getting shot in the head, getting robbed. I drove nights, and I had to take care of my family, so I drove a double shift, and I made lots of money because as long as you're in the city, and just like New York, Boston's the same way. You have a lot of people waving down cabs, and the more they waved, the more I picked up.
So what was a double shift? Was that 16 hours? Or?
Double shift was you can go in 8 in the morning, you can have the cab 8 hours, and then after the 8 hours, instead of somebody else coming to get your cab, you keep your cab, and then you run it until like 12 at night.
So did you know?
And I actually do remember almost getting robbed one night, so it was very not a good experience.
So there's a lot of cabbies getting robbed at that time?
Getting robbed and killed. They didn't leave you alive back then.
And that was just young gang guys doing that, or was that mafia type stuff? Or
Just young, I don't know if you call them just, the guys that I came across, they was pretty young. It was, I picked them up from the party, but guys that would get killed from cab drivers, most of them never got caught.
did you use your GI Bill?
No, I didn't. I hadn't. I had a chance to use it, but try to buy a home at the time. But when I ended up finding a house at the time, me and my wife actually found a house. My paperwork was going through and stuff, and when I found a house in Brockton, it was an area where not many blacks was buying. And we came across a very unheard or very racial situation where my wife just said, something, I want to pull out, I want to get to be a homeowner right now, or whatever. Which I regret because that's something that I should have just ignored. But try to follow your wife's lead. And we didn't end up buying. I ended up using my GI Bill.
So you talked about earlier a little bit how the service changed you, gave you some vision and taught you persevere. Is there anything else that you think it taught you?
Yeah, it taught me how to be an entrepreneur. It taught me how to, like the Logan says, be all what you can be.
Did you continue any friendships after the service with the guys that you were serving with?
No, like I said, most of the guys that you serve with, everybody from different countries, like you said, Guam and New York and Chicago and Mississippi, and everybody just goes their way.
When you got out, did you join any veterans organizations?
Just kind of focused on, my new life, take care. I had 6 kids, take care of 6 kids.
How do you think your military service has impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
I think it's impacted my feelings on knowing that it's a must. We have to be, we're United States, so we have to be ready and willing. We're trained for that, and they teach you that this is your freedom. If you want the freedom, if you want the certain lifestyle, you're going to protect this country. It taught me that.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered in the interview today?
I mean, besides my experience on, coming up where I'm at now and how I end up getting to where I'm at as far as my military career now.
What would you like people to remember from your story?
The military is not bad. The military is something that we should always think highly of. And we should always know that our veterans come first. Without our veterans being out there sacrificing their lives, being who they are, the veterans go through a lot. They put their lives on the line. A lot of veterans around today for our freedom. So I would like everybody to know that we need to start taking care of our vets. Our vets should become should be before civilians, because civilians, they get the freedom because of us. I would like to say that.
And with that being said, if you want to volunteer or tell your story with Homefront Strong, you can find us on social media or like the YouTube channel, and we'll get in touch with you. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for the interview.
Thank you.